Terrinoth, the Heroes of Descent. This is an RPG all about simplified combat. So in the recent years seems to be seeing an uptick thanks games like Baldur 3. The next one hoping to get critical acclaim is Terrinoth, the Heroes of Descent. As I mentioned before, this game is based on a board game, much like the Baldur's Gate 3. After playing throughout what an offer the game, the comes off a little strange. There seems to be a hyper focus on combat and not much else. And while there is not a major issue, it is something that becomes very apparent. I did enjoy my time with the game, but there is a lot here that feels like they wanted to make a simplified version of D&D and not in a good way. It is based on the board game Descent and the most recent entry form, the series Descent Legends of the Dark, so might be a contributing factor, but I don't know, it's just my assumptions. It's a turn-based tactical RPG where you can gather a crew of heroes to attempt to save the realm by going throughout the several missions and 4 different campaigns that all form into the approximate 20-hour story. You'll be able to level up heroes and make them stronger while also leveling up abilities and acquiring new gear in attempt to make the perfect team to take on only one challenge. Every character has unique mechanics and skills to learn and utilize in and out of combat. It does still have initiative and some of the usual turn-based things you'd expect, but because it's a tactical RPG, there is grid-based combat. Every attack, ability, and the item operates using the grid and some simplified mechanics. Each of the 4 campaigns is divided into 5 individual missions. All the missions and campaigns can be played individually, but still operate as the long story. This makes it so you have a player drop in and out after completing a mission. Each mission has its own map and its own treasures and puzzles to hunt down. It works very simply to playing a one-shot session of D&D, but you can string those one-shots together to make something more interesting. When you finish a mission and prepare for the next one, you'll have the ability to purchase items and abilities from the shop or upgrade some equipment in the forge. Whenever you're ready for the next one, you can select your group and head out. For almost every mission, you'll need to have one specific character in your party, and some missions have secrets that only specific characters can find. Every mission will work basically the same, and you move from fight to fight until you defeat the boss or complete the final condition of the mission. The game clearly is trying to simplify a majority of the best tactical RPG games down to their essence by removing a lot of nitty-gritty that makes them complicated. There is just one problem: the nitty-gritty is what most players play games for. Pulling back from the deep in terms of gameplay is an interesting idea, but ultimately detracts from what makes us this genre so beloved. I'll start by stating the most obvious issue. You cannot interact with the hero outside of the missions. There is no way to get know them on a deeper level outside of doing some optional stuff during missions and playing throughout their specific missions. This means you're unlikely to get any real sense of whom the characters are beyond the story. You cannot go camp or talk with them while exploring. Like in the most best RPGs, any information you can get mostly vague. It is very strange to have a game centered around heroes where you never really interact with them. This is much like a TTP RPG where they most operate as extension player, but in a video game setting, just doesn't work super well. Beyond that, the game doesn't have any real complex systems outside of the combat. There are no armor or weapon or slots specifically, and instead uh, you have something that level you up. This means you are essentially forced to choose between the overall boost of a consumable, which does simplify things, but majority detracts from what you can do. Puzzles aren't all that complex either, and neither its exploration. If you want a straightforward dungeon crawler, then it's great. But if you want RPG to dig into, you'll find it lacking. Many games have an issue with too much complexity, but there is small, no one-side combat, which makes it feel like everything just exists to shuffle you from combat to combat. Combat is the best part about the game, and despite how simple it can be, there is actually some amount of depth. It's still turn-based, but you get 3 action points for each turn. They are used to move attacks, used to activate ultimates, meaning that how you utilize them will determine your success. Every character, including yours, has an amount of defensive guard and using abilities that will play into an enemy weakness lowers that guard, making damage improve significantly. On the flip side, hitting them with somebody they are resistant to make that guard go up, going less damage on the next attack. It's most interesting part of the game as you discover how the character skills and abilities interact with one another. For instance, Veshi has an ability that, when activates, caused enemies to have reduced the fire based on how close they are to her. Keeping her close to Karas and letting him fire beneath a bunch of the enemies in the cone will make them all significantly more susceptible to the damage. It was generally so much fun to see interactions play out, find the new ones, and tore apart enemies. I can imagine that coordinating with this group of friends can be really fun and lead to some wacky moments. Regardless, even when playing it alone, it just scratches the itch of discovery really well. Combat is the best part of this game by a mile. Nothing in the game even comes close to being as solid as combat. As you level up, play throughout the missions to unlock the new skills, combat only gets more and more interesting. It felt very clear that combat always put first as necessary, and everything else became ancillary. So in general, Terrinoth, Heroes of Descent is very milding RPG that does some things right, but some things does wrong, making a game can consume in bite size. And but seems like along the way things got a little lost. You can get attacked to you team because you're not spending any time with them outside the missions. Most of the game revolves around the combat, which is fantastic and very enjoyable, but past that, these feelings will dry you dull. So yeah, the writing is serviceable, but the game just isn't set up well enough to give you something to invest beyond the individual's missions. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Thanks.